In the midst of all of this madness going on in the country right now, the new depression, COVID-19, police brutality, and now the backlash to that and the protests and the riots, The Intercept is reporting on something here that's completely on the back burner, but in any reasonable point in history, it would be a large part of the conversation. So they say 115 civilians died in just 10 airstrikes in the U.S. war in Afghanistan in the last 2 years. More than 70 of them were children. That's the finding of a new investigation by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, or TBIJ, which offers a glimpse into the terrible reality of the conflict in Afghanistan. The strikes that the investigation focused on, conducted by the U.S. military and the U.S.-backed Afghan Air Force, represent just a handful of the total number of bombings during the period. TBIJ crowdsourced information on particular strikes, then worked with an Al Jazeera film crew who traveled to Afghanistan to meet some of the survivors, confirming civilian casualties in some instances when the U.S. government had not admitted to them. Wow, shocking. The 10 airstrikes analyzed in their report took place between 2018 and 2019. The fact that over 60% of those who died in the bombings were children reflects Afghanistan's overwhelmingly young population and a culture in which large families tend to live together in big housing compounds. Now, this is the part that really, this should keep you up at night if you're a sane person. The U.S. military has dropped tens of thousands of bombs on Afghanistan since it began occupying the country in 2001. This violence has escalated rather than decreased, even with the official end of the combat mission there in 2014, with the number of munitions dropped on the country hitting an annual record of 7,423 last year. So let's understand this. 60% of the people who died in the airstrikes that they studied and really detailed and got the information on in a way that's, wonderful investigative journalism. 60% of the dead were kids. And just last year, there were a total of 7,423 bombs dropped on Afghanistan. So you do the math on that. Let's assume it stays reasonably similar. Actually, you know what? Let's be kind to the government and say that it's not 60% of most or all of these airstrikes that are killing kids. Let's say it's 40%. Think about that, man. Think about that. Why are we dropping 7,423 bombs on Afghanistan last year? By the way, we're still there. We're still in Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan. Do me a favor. Define victory for me. The whole point, they said, of going into Iraq was, we got to get Saddam Hussein. He was responsible for 9/11. First of all, he wasn't. Second of all, he's been dead for a long time. What are you talking about? Afghanistan, what did they say? Yeah, we got to go after Osama bin Laden. He also attacked us on 9/11. Now, that's true. He did attack us on 9/11. He's also been dead for a long time. We just casually were like, we'll just stay. We'll stay. We'll stay. Guys, we covered polls on the show. This is going back to 2013 or something. It was only 18% of the country that wanted to stay in Afghanistan. We're still there today. Today. No goals. No idea as to what victory is. Killing 60% civilians. 7,423 bombs last year. Don't do that. But beyond that, all these resources. And they're telling us, hey, we're going to bail out corporations $5 trillion because of COVID-19, full corporate socialism, military-industrial complex all day long. Let's fund the bombing of innocent children. And by the way, you want UBI and Medicare for all? How about you fuck off? This is our system. And as I just pointed out before, guys, nobody's talking about this. Credit to Murtaza Hussein over at The Intercept for highlighting this. Nobody's talking about this. 7,423 bombs we dropped on Afghanistan last year alone. What happened, Donald Trump was like, we got to get out of Afghanistan. This is stupid. Why are we there? He even announced it on Twitter like a year and a half ago. And then his advisors were like, that's a good one. We're staying. And he was like, okay, I guess we're staying. Why is it that no matter who's in power, the military-industrial complex, Wall Street crooks, business as usual, the status quo, keeps churning along? Nothing seems to change. 7,423 bombs. So, to add on to my tweet that went viral the other day, pat myself on the back there. I'd suck myself off if I could, but I'm not that flexible. The 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, the Great Depression, the tumultuous 1960s, and the war in Vietnam all at the same time. That's what we have. Except in this instance, obviously, Vietnam is Iraq and Afghanistan and the 8 countries that we're bombing. The 1918 Spanish flu pandemic is COVID-19. The tumultuous 1960s is the police brutality and the backlash and the protests and the riots. History slapping us in the face. And then on top of all that, I saw last night on Twitter, you know what was trending? Hashtag earthquake, hashtag tornado warning. There's a tornado warning in, I think it was Philly, and there was an earthquake in California. Thank God not the San Andreas. Not the San Andreas fault, but there was a 5.5 earthquake. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination religious, spiritual, any of that stuff. But goddamn, everything happening all at once is starting to feel like somebody's mad at us. You know what I'm saying? We dropped 7,423 bombs on Afghanistan last year. For what? For what? We're killing 60% kids. You know what that's called when the rest of the world looks at what we're doing in that instance? Terrorism. Now, you could say to yourself all day long, well, we don't mean to kill the kids, so it's different. Even if I grant you that point, okay, so we're guilty of manslaughter and not murder. But beyond that, my response to you is, it's one thing if you mess up once and kill civilians. It's one thing if you mess up even twice. Somebody can be inclined to be open-minded and say, you know what, an accident's an accident. You've been there since 2001! Iraq, 2003. There was just a story a couple of years ago, the bombing of the Kunduz hospital. Remember that? We bombed a hospital in Afghanistan. What argument are you even making to the people of Afghanistan? Listen, we need to stay there to protect you from the Taliban, who will probably do something crazy like bomb your hospitals or something. That's what we did. That's what we did. So, the point is, again, I've made this argument before to the people who want to harp away on just the intentions angle of the argument. You hop into your car to go to work. You run over an innocent person and you kill him. Now, chances are you're probably going to get brought up on manslaughter charges and you're going to get found guilty. Okay? But let's say, for whatever reason, they say, no. He sincerely, genuinely didn't mean it, and the family is very forgiving and is begging them not to press charges, and so they didn't press charges and whatever, okay? Wouldn't happen, but let's say that happened. But then next week, you hop in your car and you run over somebody again. And then the week after that, you hop in your car and you run over somebody again. And then the week after that, you do the same thing. At some point, I don't give a fuck about what you say your intentions are. I don't care. You keep doing it. That's the U.S. government. That's our imperialist wars. Even if you want to view it through the most kind, objective, open-minded, pro-U.S. mindset, that's the best argument you could come up with. So here we are. And this isn't even getting mentioned, like I said, with all the chaos and everything that's going on. Nobody's talking. I'm the only person talking about this, literally. And Murtaza Hussain. It would be nice if everything wasn't falling apart. It would be nice if we could get some victories. We could change some things for the better. So what I say is, everybody put on a mask and social distance, because we still have a pandemic. But by all means, if you're going to go out in the streets, go out in the streets. Be peaceful. Don't riot. Don't loot. But more bodies out there, the better. We send a message, and we need strong national leadership in order to really get change. That's why I called on Cornel West and Killer Mike to kind of fill that void. They have the moral clarity and the legitimacy and the standing, particularly in the black community, in order to have their voices heard and really lead us in a positive way. So, but we got to change this stuff, man, because everything is falling apart.